Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new edition of the Daily Debate. I'm your host for tonight, Muhammad Abdurrahim. Tonight, naturally, we'll be talking about the American-Israeli-Iranian war and its ripple effects across the region. We'll also be talking about Gaza, as the Israeli genocide war on Gaza has been forgotten a little bit in world media these days, just focusing on the war on Iran. We'll also be talking, of course, about the Iranian retaliation, the Hezbollah retaliation in Lebanon, and the diplomatic efforts from Cairo and other capitals aimed at de-escalating the situation. With us here in the studio is Mrs. Haneen Abu Shanab, and a very good evening to you. She is a political analyst and expert, also a member of the Palestinian Women's NGO group. Very good evening to you, Mrs. Haneen. Always a pleasure to have you with us. Allow us first, and allow us, dear viewers, just to read our three top stories of the night here before we move on to our main topic. First story here from Cairo, as Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli said that the government's investment plans should aim at achieving comprehensive developments in the educational and health sectors in specific in the upcoming period, as Egypt attaches a top priority to the economic and social development projects, the forefront of which are those carried in the framework of a Decent Life or Hayat Karima presidential initiative, in addition to health and education sector. The Prime Minister's remarks came as he chaired a meeting to review an estimate of the government's investment targeted plan for social and economic development for the fiscal year 26-27. Also on Thursday, Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati stressed Egypt's firm position in supporting Saudi Arabia and all Arab sisterly countries, affirming Egypt's full solidarity with Saudi Arabia in the face of the Iranian attacks against its lands. This came during his phone call with his Saudi counterpart, Prince Faisal bin Farhan. The two top diplomats exchanged views over the current developments, with Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati stressing Egypt's position in supporting Riyadh and all Arab capitals, affirming Egypt's full solidarity with Saudi Arabia. During the phone conversation, Minister Abdulati renewed Egypt's condemnation to the attacks by Iran targeting the security and sovereignty of fellow countries, and reiterating that there is no excuse for such attacks, and underscoring the necessity of the full respect of good neighborly policies and the sovereignty of countries. The phone call also tackled efforts of deporting Egyptians, or Egyptians returning back from the kingdom if needed, as Minister Abdulati expressed Egypt's appreciation to Saudi efforts and facilitations to make these efforts succeed. And also on Thursday, the Minister of Foreign Affairs said that a new comprehensive vision for regional security should be polarized in cooperation with regional and international parties. He noted the utmost importance of activating the Joint Arab Defense Agreement and the formation of a Joint Arab Force, being the only guarantor to preserve the security and sovereignty of Arab countries against current threats. The top diplomat made the assertion in phone calls with foreign ministers of Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Oman and Germany. He reiterated Egypt's absolute rejection of any attacks starting the Arab national security, and agreed with his counterparts that diplomacy is the only means to halt the ongoing escalation. All right, we'll be watching now a report about our main topic for tonight, of course, the Israeli-American-Iranian war, and we'll be back here with our dear guest in the studio, Mrs. Haneen Abu Shanab, just after watching the report. Let's watch together and then come back and start our Q&A session. Please stay with us.
The ongoing escalating confrontation between Israel and the United States against Iran, alongside Israel's continued military operations in Gaza and Lebanon, has intensified geopolitical tensions across the Middle East region and raised profound questions about regional strategy, global stability, and economic consequences. As military actions expand beyond localized conflicts, analysts increasingly debate whether Israel is leveraging the broader regional war dynamic to reshape the strategic landscape of the Middle East. At the same time, the ripple effects of this conflict are being felt far beyond the region, contributing to volatility in energy markets, disrupting supply chains, and amplifying uncertainty within an already fragile global economy. At the center of the current crisis is Israel's campaign against resistance groups operating in Gaza and southern Lebanon, which it views as extensions of Iran's regional influence network. Israel has long considered Iran its principal strategic adversary, largely because of Tehran's nuclear ambitions and its support for resistance organizations such as Hezbollah and Hamas. Israel's military leadership argues that weakening these groups is essential to its national security and long-term deterrence strategy. However, critics contend that the scale and intensity of these operations, particularly in densely populated civilian areas, have widened the conflict humanitarian toll while risking broader regional escalation. In Gaza, Israeli military operations have resulted in significant infrastructure destruction and mass displacement, generating global debate over the proportionality and objectives of the campaign. Israeli officials maintain that their operations target resistance groups embedded within civilian areas, while humanitarian organizations warn that the humanitarian crisis is reaching catastrophic levels. The situation in Lebanon is similarly volatile. Hezbollah, a powerful Iran-backed force based in southern Lebanon, has engaged in intermittent cross-border exchanges with Israeli forces. These skirmishes have heightened fears of a full-scale conflict that could draw multiple regional actors into direct confrontation. Beyond the battlefield, the strategic implications of this confrontation are becoming increasingly apparent. Some geopolitical analysts argue that Israel's actions are not only defensive but also strategic in the broader regional balance of powers. By confronting Iranian proxies simultaneously in Gaza and Lebanon, Israel may be seeking to weaken Tehran's network of influence and demonstrate military dominance. This approach could also serve to deter future aggression by signaling Israel's willingness to escalate across multiple fronts if necessary. At the same time, Iran's response has been calibrated yet assertive. While avoiding a full-scale direct war, Tehran has continued to support its allied groups across the region, maintaining pressure on Israel through indirect channels. This strategy allows Iran to challenge Israel while limiting the risk of direct confrontation that could provoke overwhelming retaliation or broader international intervention. The result is a precarious balance, one in which regional actors are engaged in a shadow conflict that periodically erupts into open warfare. In fact, the economic consequences of this geopolitical struggle are already being felt globally. The Middle East remains central to the world's energy supply, and any instability in the region immediately affects global oil markets. As tensions rise between Israel and Iran, fears of disruptions to key shipping routes, particularly the Strait of Hormuz, have pushed oil prices upward. Even the possibility of interference with the maritime traffic in this narrow waterway, through which a significant portion of the world's oil passes, is enough to trigger market volatility. Rising oil prices have a cascading effect on the global economy. Higher energy costs increase transportation and manufacturing expenses, which in turn drive inflation. Countries already grappling with post-pandemic economic recovery and high interest rates are especially vulnerable. For developing economies, the impact can even more be severe, as increased fuel costs strain government budgets and reduce consumer purchasing power. Supply chains are also facing renewed pressure. The Middle East serves as a major logistical corridor connecting Europe, Asia, and Africa. Escalating conflict risks disrupting shipping routes, insurance costs, and trade flows throughout the region. If hostilities were to expand further, particularly if Iran or its allies targeted shipping infrastructure, the effects could reverberate across global trade networks, delaying shipments and raising costs for businesses and consumers worldwide. Financial markets have responded with heightened caution. Investors tend to move capital towards safer assets during periods of geopolitical instability, which can lead to currency fluctuations and capital outflows from emerging markets. Meanwhile, governments must consider the possibility that prolonged conflict could undermine global economic growth at a time when many economies are already facing structural challenges. In addition to economic concerns, the conflict is reshaping political narratives throughout the Middle East. The United States and the European powers are also navigating a delicate balance. On the hand, they continue to support Israel's right to defend itself against the armed group. On the other hand, they face growing international calls for restraint and humanitarian protections. Diplomatic efforts have focused on preventing the conflict from escalating into a full regional war involving Iran directly, which would dramatically increase the stakes for global security and economic stability. Looking ahead, the trajectory of the conflict remains uncertain. Several scenarios are possible. A limited conflict could continue indefinitely, characterized by intermittent flare-ups between Israel and Iranian allied groups. Alternatively, a diplomatic breakthrough, perhaps mediated by international actors, could lead to de-escalation and renewed negotiations over regional security arrangements. The most dangerous possibility, however, is a direct Israel-Iran confrontation that draws in regional and global powers, potentially transforming the conflict into a much wider war. Ultimately, the current crisis illustrates how regional conflicts in the Middle East can have far-reaching global consequences. Military actions in Gaza and Lebanon are not only shaping the political future of the region, but also influencing energy markets, global trade, and economic stability. What is clear, however, is that the intersection of geopolitics and economics ensures that the consequences of this conflict will extend far beyond the immediate battlefield, shaping both the future of the Middle East and the stability of the global economy.
Welcome back, dear viewers. Many thanks to Abir Hussein for this report. We're back here in the studio with Mrs. Haneen Hazem Abu Shanab, member of the General Union of the Palestinian Women. So, Mrs. Haneen, I don't know where to start from, but I would just like to start with an update to our viewers on the Brent price. The Brent crude price is right now $101, 101.17. $101.17. That's the Brent price, probably based on the statements earlier today by the newly elected supreme leader of the Iranian revolution, Mujtaba Khamenei, the son, of course, of the assassinated Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. So the markets, let me start with the markets. They are reacting to some statements by Mujtaba Khamenei, others by Mr. Trump. The US president says one thing and says exactly the opposite in the next hour. So it seems that the markets are taking their cues from of Mr. Trump and Mr. Mujtaba Khamenei, and that the world will continue to suffer economically as the Strait of Hormuz continues to be closed. I mean, this is what Mr. Mujtaba Khamenei said. I mean, they will keep it closed.
Absolutely. So again, it's typical of Mr. Trump to say one thing and then say the exact opposite, like you're saying. You can't really hold him accountable of anything. So it's just so typical of him. The instability in the markets is also normal because it depends on the politics, not just the economics of what's happening. It's a massive influence on the economical market, of course. So it will keep fluctuating until things settle one way or another, even if it's not the factual or it's not the actual valuation of the prices or whatever. So it's...
How do you read the situation, generally speaking? Because at the start, there seemed to be very strong American-Israeli strikes, killing, assassinating Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and 50 other leaders. It took time, then Iran started. At the beginning, Mr. Trump was saying, we're not going to negotiate, it's too late for that. A couple of days ago, we heard Mr. Trump that he He's ready to talk to an Iranian. We don't know which Iranian he's ready to talk to, but at the beginning, Iran reportedly wanted to negotiate via Larijani, via Arakji, and now it's the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps who are saying, we're not going to negotiate, we're taking this till the very end.
Yes.
Where are we? How do you read the situation?
There is a shift in power, of course. It's like any typical table of negotiations. One is thinking that they have the upper hand, so they're proposing some things. Then things change, and the other party actually holds the power or the upper hand, so they offer their deal. So Mr. Trump, like always, he thinks that he's the big boss and he's bossing people around, not knowing that that's not actually the truth. What's happening is, for Iran, they're defending themselves, and they have the right to, regardless of what we think. It's just typical to any entity in the world or any human being to defend their rights and to defend their rights of existence. A normal reaction to any oppression and aggression that has happened.
So who has the upper hand, in your opinion? I mean, from one side,
yes,
the Americans have really hit very hard,
yes,
the Iranian Navy, the Iranian Army, many facilities across Iran, the nuclear program, the ballistic program.
Yes.
Many civilians have also died in Iran. The U.S. has admitted to wrongdoing regarding the school where
yes,
more than 100 girls died. At the same time, Iran, yes, they've lost a lot, but the regime is still in place, and they are playing with the Strait of Hormuz card and the oil card and the turbulence in the markets. So,
and the statements that we've just actually used the old rockets, now we're ready to launch the new ones. So it's a play of power, and it's the propaganda as usual. Of course, as always, we think that America is the upper hand, or they have the strongest presence in the fight. Needless to say, it's all just media. It's all just statements, just to save face. Despite that, the truth that they have hit hard some very important targets in Iran and other neighboring countries. But again, yet the public opinion is against them. So that's a massive influence, or a massive tool of power, actually. We cannot neglect this at all.
For Iran?
Yes, for Iran.
The American public opinion,
yeah, of course.
The gasoline prices.
Exactly, not just the Iranian, because people, or the public opinion of the international presence, is also building up with that against the U.S. and against, of course, the occupational forces of Israel. So we'll keep tracking the points, who's hitting who, but again,
how do you see it?
How do I see it? It's a short fight, because again, the U.S. is trying to defend Israel. Mr. Trump and his new team is trying to defend the criminal Netanyahu, and they're trying to prolong his presence in his role, because he has got a very lengthy list of accusations and statements and imprisonment that he needs to fulfill. So they're trying to buy time so that he gets more benefits or more gains, so that he tries to buy the public.
See, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So you are with the view that this war was decided during the war crime suspect Israeli Prime Minister's visit to Washington in February, right?
Absolutely.
And it was Netanyahu that pressured Trump into this. I mean, the Democrats in America say this.
Yes.
So I assume that you support that view.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
They do not save any, or they do not waste any chance to support him to remain in his position. And of course, Trump is behind him, because again, he's benefiting from this, because it's a business deal that he will benefit from, along with other...
Is Mr. Trump also trying to beautify, that's another question, is he trying to beautify the face of the war crime suspect? Because, I mean, the war crime suspect who was wanted by the International Criminal Court for genocide in Gaza, and we must talk about Gaza, because Gaza has been forgotten these past 12 or 13 days. Is he trying to beautify his image by making him the striker, or the center forward in football terms, in the fight against, entre parenthèses, the source of all evil in the world, because that's what the Americans say about Iran.
Absolutely. Funny terms that he uses, of course. But again, exactly like you said, Mr. This is how they're trying to portray him, and this is how they're trying to display him to the public, trying to change the narrative or trying to twist the facts. But you cannot really erase what has been already proven, and the court has said its words. So yeah, this is what's happening, and they're trying to, like you are saying, of course, to dismiss or to push back the horrific aggression that's continued on Palestine as a whole, not just Gaza, because
the annexation in the West Bank,
exactly,
and the killings as well,
and the killings have not stopped,
and the detainments,
nothing has
the demolishing
stopped.
of houses,
nothing has stopped. It's actually getting even worse. So it's just a cover-up, like we were saying off air. It's a cover-up. They're trying to create some noise. They're trying to create some distortion here or there to shift the focus of the media and the people towards something else. It's just a distraction, like they've always been doing. We remember the Epstein files.
Yes.
So as always, there is something to bring up to the public, just to...
Yet you believe, in your personal opinion, that this war doesn't will be short. I mean, Mr. Trump says that he has hit Iran hard, so he has nothing left to hit. But he also says that, you know, we must finish the job. He says that we're ahead of schedule. He had talked about 4-6 weeks, so ahead of schedule. So we assume 2-3 weeks. We're into 13 days now, but at the same time, he says we don't want to leave too early. So, will it be Mr. Trump's decision really, or again, will you think the war crime suspect, Israeli premier, will he have a big say in this?
Of course, it's him, but it's publicized, or it's spoken to the international community through the mouth of Mr. Trump. Because always America needs to be present as the one who decides, the one who dictates what needs to be done. But of course we all know what's happening behind the scenes.
So it's this war. Do you think diplomacy still has a chance? And you know, Egypt has called for de-escalation. Egypt believes that political settlement is the only means of solving disputes. Egypt has good relations with all parties. We've heard the Russians, Mr. Putin, talking to Mr. Trump. The Chinese are you know, their voice is louder these days. Europe is talking, Mr. Macron is talking about Lebanon specifically. So, do you think diplomacy still has a chance?
Diplomacy still has the most presence on the table in terms of negotiation, or in terms of implementing the de-escalation of the retaliations everywhere, actually. But despite that everyone agrees on that, still there needs to be some aggression or some hitting here or there, the bombardments that's been happening, because every country has their own way of defending themselves, not of course deviating from diplomacy and the approach of sitting on a table to sit and discuss what needs to be done, of course, but we need to do some fighting back, because they have been hit. So
because both parties, I guess, or we have three parties here, we have the Americans, the Israelis, and the Iranians. I guess each of them, I guess, Mrs. Haneen, wants to, at the end, portray this as a victory. So each party will choose a slogan that is very attractive, potentially convincing at least to some, and will try to make this slogan the declaration of victory, right?
Of course, as always. And everyone wants to show off their military forces and their military capabilities, and they are invincible and so on. So it's everyone's
so we understand what this could be for the US, and what this could be for Iran, because the regime stayed in place. The Islamic revolution in Iran is staying in place. Different people, but the hierarchy is still working. But for Israel, I mean, for this country or state or entity that is only thinking about expansion, thinking about occupying other lands, be it in Lebanon, Syria, or elsewhere, for Israel, what will be the slogan? Because I mean, if the Islamic Revolution remains in place, if the Ayatollahs remain in place, as Mr. Lindsey Graham had said, of course one of the biggest supporters of the American congressman, the biggest supporters of Israel, he said that you can't declare victory if an Ayatollah is in place. But seemingly Mr. Trump, somewhere down the line, is going to declare victory while an Ayatollah will be in place, seemingly. So for Israel, I mean, if this regime still exists, I mean, they will still, you know, be fearing that they will rebuild in 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years. I don't know. And they will strike, the Iranians will strike back. They will not forget this.
Of course.
And if Iran, this big country, big strategic country, nearly 100 million people, rich with oil, rich with science, they have theology, they have ideology. If this country, you know, stands up on its feet again, it's not down, but it has been hit hard. But if it regains its full power, this is bad. I mean, the Israelis will think this is bad for them, this is threatening them. And by the way, even the Arab Gulf countries now, with what they have seen from Iran, and of course Egypt and much of the world has condemned these Iranian attacks against the Arab countries. Of course, the Iranians say they are targeting American interests or American bases, but even the Arab Gulf countries will fear a strong Iranian state.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I mean, we're heading to a mess.
In before.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So what's actually happening is Israel's main or primary vision towards expanding their presence, and they've always said it, from the Nile to Furat. So this is why you have been trying to expand their...
Yeah, it's not hidden anymore. I mean, the war crime suspect premier has said it clearly.
They're very arrogant about it.
The so-called Greater Israel.
Exactly. So this is why Iran is fighting back very strongly their land, because it's the borders of this Greater Israel. So they have the very right to...
And the other attempted border was the evil Israeli attempt to dislocate Palestinians from Gaza.
Absolutely.
And this is why Egypt, you know, has said, this is the red line, this will never be trusted.
Exactly. So
accepted.
Egypt is fighting strongly from one end, using diplomacy, but it's very strong diplomacy, that this is a very bold red line, no displacement of Palestinians, no erasure of their identity. They are the true lawful and indigenous people of this land.
Absolutely.
So you cannot change that, no matter how much you try. So Israel is trying a different approach. If this road is blocked, I'm gonna try alternative roads. So they're hitting everywhere, trying to control the narrative. This is why I'm telling you, despite their several attempts, despite the very heavy investments they invest in the media and the propaganda, they cannot control people, they cannot control the facts. They have been controlling or censoring and blocking actually the sharing of and the coverage of the whatever is happening in Israel now, but the leakage is there, as always has been. The truth will always reveal. So no matter how much they try, the truth is always there. And Israel will not reach their fantasy of the Greater Israel, because the current Israel is not legitimate to start with. So what they build on it is even further not legitimate. So whether they hit Iran, whether they hit Russia, whether they hit whatever, even Korea has been poked, by the way, with all that's been happening. So whatever they do, they remain the actual evil in the region, not Iran, not Lebanon, not Syria, not whatever. And what they've been doing actually in Jerusalem, not just
speaking about evil, I just remember clearly, more than 20 years ago, Mr. George W. Bush, the former U.S. president, he had his axis of evil. Remember the three countries? Remember them? Iraq, Iran, and North Korea. And speaking of North Korea, by the way, they've expressed solidarity with Iran.
So we're going towards a very, very disturbing period of time. But again, it's short, because the main goal is trying to expand their presence, but they do not control everyone.
And before again going back to Gaza and the Palestinian cause, Iraq. Iraq is a country that if Iran, gets destabilized in any way, Iraq will be a source of mess for the entire region. Do you agree with this hypothesis?
Yes, it's been inactive and it's been put sort of off the radar, especially after how America has invaded them for the lengthy war on the assumption of Iraq. Know that they're always after oil, they're always after petroleum, they're always after whatever goods that exist in whatever country they're at. And of course
they have not hidden it. I mean, and Mr. Trump says he wants to cooperate with Iran in the future, like he did with Venezuela, with the Iranian oil facilities.
Thank you for bringing that.
Reportedly, he asked the Israelis not to hit the oil facilities. Reportedly.
Absolutely. The timing speaks very loudly. After they've got all they wanted from Venezuela, they've gone towards this aggression, or you see, if you connect the dots, it makes perfect sense. It's all planned. They know what they want. They're after the oil and they're after the power, no matter where it is, and they're trying to get a hold on whatever is present wherever. So,
but Iran is not Venezuela.
Exactly.
It has proven that it's not Venezuela.
Exactly. They're fighting back very strongly. So this is how it is in the region. And if you would like to switch to Palestine.
Yes, please, because I fear that
it has not been forgotten. Thank you for your.
I want media to have every 60 minutes of news coverage to have at least 10 minutes from Gaza, which used to have 50 out of 60. But now Iran, Israel, America war has the 60 minutes.
It's distractions. It's pure distraction of the actual event. So this is their agenda as always.
Because Israel is violating the ceasefire agreement.
They have not
from day one of the agreement.
They have not committed to it for a certain or a single minute actually. The aggression continues in Gaza, the annexation continues in the West Bank, and the aggression as well. And today we're speaking of the closure of Al-Aqsa Mosque and the whole Haram actually in Ramadan, in the holy month of Ramadan. This is very loud violation to international law.
By the way, Egypt and many Arab states have condemned
the joint statement of course of Egypt, Jordan, Indonesia, Pakistan, Turkey as well. So it's very bad. It's very bad what's happening, and the violations have not stopped, and they're becoming even more arrogant of what's been happening. We do not forget or we do not neglect that actually Jerusalem or Al-Haram al-Sharif of Al-Quds is under actually the legal jurisdiction of Jordan.
Jordan, right.
So, what are you doing? What are you doing? Jordan is the sole controller of what happens there in terms of access, in terms of closure. So
that's by international law, right?
Exactly. So this is very unusual, or actually usual of them. It's very strange that no one is doing anything, and this is not the first time. We do remember multiple years ago where they have put those gates and they stopped people from also in Ramadan to enter the mosque. And it's not just towards Muslims. We do not forget also what they do during Christmas and how they prevent Palestinian. It's very horrible. It's very horrible what's happening.
Of
70,000, of course, yes, in thousands. We always speak in thousands.
And more than 70,000 martyrs.
These are the only,
many of them women and children, civilians.
All of them are civilians. All of them are civilians. So it's very, very, very saddening what's happening, and very, very.
So how do you think the outcome? Two very quick questions, but we have 2 minutes. Sorry.
Sure.
Lebanon, Hezbollah, Israel. When the Iran war stops, what do you think will happen between Israel and Hezbollah?
It will de-escalate for a little, but it will not stop. It will always be there.
How do you think the outcome of the war, the American-Israeli-Iranian war, will affect the just Palestinian cause?
Okay, they will keep on trying to win their articles or gain their points of negotiation, gaining more land, gaining more control, and of course disarming the Palestinians and so on. But again, the truth remains: the land is for the Palestinians. The Palestinians will remain there. So they will keep on fighting, but eventually we will see the end of Israel, because it was never legitimate to begin with, actually.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, our dear guests with us here in the studio. Ms. Haneen Hazem Abu Shanab, member of the General Union of the Palestinian Women. Always a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank
and
you.
happy Ramadan.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching us, ladies and gentlemen. Please stay with Nile TV.